It violates separation of powers when a judge thinks that they can enjoin something that a president is doing that the American people voted for. That is not what the founders intended. We do have authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have power funding over the courts and all these other things. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act.
That was Speaker Johnson sounding an alarm about judges blocking the president's agenda as he makes it clear Congress has the power to stop them. House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan joins us now. Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning, Lawrence.
So let's look at some of these injunctions by the court, and I think it tells a story. When you look at Trump's first term, we're talking about 64 injunctions. Now, you compare that to Bush's entire term, you got 6, Obama with 12, and Biden with 14. Already right now, Trump is at 15 for the second term. So what's going to be done?
Well, there's legislative approaches to this, and we passed legislation out of the committee 2.5 weeks ago, which said when some judge in Timbuktu, California, issues an injunction, it should only apply to the parties in the case in that respective jurisdiction. It shouldn't have nationwide implications. So the speaker's indicated that legislation will be on the floor next week. So we have legislative ways to address this. We have the appropriations process that the speaker also mentioned. You know, we control the power of the purse. And we may want to look at the money that goes to the courts and judges. We don't want to jeopardize justice for the American people. And we certainly don't want to jeopardize any security concerns that justices have. We all remember what took place after the Dobbs leak with Justice Kavanaugh. But there may be some areas we can look at there. And then finally, the third lever we have as the legislative branch is oversight. And we plan to have hearings starting next Tuesday on this broad subject where we look at some of these what I would simply call ridiculous orders. I mean, Judge Boasberg, he basically said, well, he did say, turn the plane around, bring bad guys who were here illegally, who did terrible things, turn the plane around and bring the bad guys back to the country. That makes no sense when you think about the commander-in-chief and his constitutional authority, the authority he has under the statute, the Alien Enemies Act, made no sense. So we're going to look at that as well.
Mr. Chairman, why can't we get some type of bill to bring this to the Supreme Court when there's a challenge against the president? Because we're taking all this time, and the American people want action because that's what they voted for.
In the legislation sponsored by Representative Issa that we passed on the injunction issue, we also have some expedited review in there. If you got some state attorney generals bringing that, we're also looking at the broader approach. Is there an expedited review process so the appellate courts can see this get these issues done in a faster manner and get it to the Supreme Court in a much quicker fashion? So yeah, we're looking at that issue as well on the legislative front.
Let's talk about the review when it comes to this judge who wanted to block the flights. All right, the president has declared the Alien Enemies Act. These people aren't citizens, right? So based on that act, he has the authority to skip some due process there. What's going to happen in a case like that? Or even with Marco Rubio, when you got a guy that's coordinated with Hamas, he's on a green card, he lied on his forms. Shouldn't the executive branch have some discretion here?
Yeah, the commander-in-chief, and after all, he campaigned on this. The American people elected him to do this. Article 2, Section 1, first sentence, executive power shall be vested in the president of the United States. So a strong constitutional ground, strong statutory ground. And you're right, these guys are here illegally, and they're not Boy Scouts. They're really bad guys. And this judge says, no, bring them back here. I got to check it out. And by the way, this is the same judge. This judge is the one who was there 8 years ago with the whole FISA court Trump-Russia baloney. This is the judge that allowed the crazy dossier to be used as a basis for going to spy on a presidential campaign, President Trump's campaign. So there's the history there, and it starts to look like this judge is operating in a political fashion. And we want to look at that as well in our hearings that we plan to start again next Tuesday.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for giving us some time this morning.
You bet. Thank you, Lawrence.
All right.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.